We define ourselves so much by what we do, by our job titles and our income. We build a life that is loud and fast, maybe just so we don't have to hear the silence underneath. But what happens when the noise stops? Not slowly, but all at once. Like when you wake up on a normal Tuesday morning and realize the rush is gone. Suddenly there are no more projects, no deadlines, just you and this vast silence. Some people say job loss can be a financial crisis, and yes, it can, but I think it's something much deeper. It can be a crisis of existence. Without the doing, who is the being?
I can't remember a winter when we had snow that much and that often. At the moment, one day feels like spring and the sun is shining and you can hear the birds. And the next day, it snows. And one day after, it feels like spring again. That's crazy. Okay, so another winter day. But it's actually really beautiful. But I urgently have to water my plants because with the dry heat of the radiators, they need a lot of water.
Nature doesn't know a career ladder. The one plant doesn't try to grow better than the next one to it. It just grows. It drops leaves when it's time to let go. And it blooms when it's time to bloom. It doesn't apologize for its resting phases. Why is it so hard for us to accept this for ourselves? That we have seasons, that there are winter phases in life where everything looks bare, but under the surface, the roots are growing deeper than ever before. I tied my self-worth so tightly to my productivity. But this plant here, it just is. It doesn't have to prove anything to be valuable. It carries time, texture, and presence without trying. It can feel rough and uncomfortable to let go of identities and layers. There's friction, and I'm losing layers I thought belonged to me. But this reveals also something that was hidden before, beneath the polished surface of the employee self. Something rougher, more real is emerging. I'm starting to understand that identity isn't a solid object you get once and keep. It's fluid. I spent a lot of time on necklaces already. They still need some fine-tuning, but overall I like the direction. Earrings, on the other hand, have been a real struggle for me. Honestly, I haven't been happy with a single pair I've made so far. But as I start to work on my very first small collection, I know they have to be part of it. simply because I love wearing them so much myself. They are my daily essentials, so today I am daring to try again. Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? I would love to walk through the forest now instead of walking at the street. And I realized that I was hiding behind my job for years, and I was so busy being useful for others that I forgot who I am when I'm in no use for anyone. And one thing I wanted to add is that I think that it's so important for us to understand that just being is more than enough. We don't have to be productive all the time. We should allow ourselves to just be from time to time. That's something so healing and so important for us humans in this hustling culture. Yeah.
So it's another day. And yesterday it was a winter wonderland outside. And today it's grey and rainy and windy. It looks really sad, and I really hope that spring is coming soon. Yeah, but now I will make myself a coffee, and after that continue to work on the new design. Something I want to try out. I would say something I would try out. Yeah, and see how it works and if it turns out how I wanted it to be. We'll see. I forgot something. Okay. One fine summer in May, oh, John Doe the bookkeeper working on Forest Bay. Work out your weeks and months and years away. Push all your papers and blame. The machine is just a train, he's just another way. Push all the days of your life and never leave a break. So you grow whiskey, garden grow like you like. You grow whiskey. So I polished these two And as I love the handspun wool, it should be also part of the earrings. And I think I will use one of the new wools. And let's see, I think I'm taking this one. I'm really curious if that will turn out the way I want it to be. We'll see. But another thing is that I think it's kind of funny that or most of us, are spending so much time building a bunch of layers around us, a bunch of layers that we think are defining us. So I am a manager, I am successful, I am this and that, whatever it is. But I think there's so much more under all these layers. When I got the news of the job, my first reaction was a bit of a shock. And after that, I thought, finally, I have to leave this job. It kind of feels like taking off a coat that is 2 sizes too small, and you just realize how tight this coat was after you unzip it and take the layer off. And I think that's the same with the layers we are building around us to define who we are. And I think there's so much more beneath all the layers of performing or defining us with some cool stuff. There's so much more. I think there's a version of you that never learned how to perform, a version of you that never tried to be more productive, more acceptable, more pleasing, but it simply existed. Not as someone to be chosen or someone to be approved, but someone that is already whole. But somewhere along the way, we started adding these kind of layers. Layers of proving, layers of becoming someone the world around us can understand. And maybe you forgot, like myself, that beneath all of these layers, there was never something missing. You were never unworthy or stuff like that. You were just covered by expectations and by the quiet belief that you have to earn your place here. But worthiness was never something you had to build. And then beneath all the effort, all the performing, and beneath the endless becoming, you can finally meet yourself again. Not as a project or as a potential, but as a presence. And there you can realize that being was always more than enough. And so I'm in the middle of shedding layer after layer and just being myself a little bit more every day. Okay, and I think I have talked enough, and I think I'm finished with this one here. So now I got these 2 rings. think I already know what I want to do a bit different next time. But I'm happy how they turned out. So now to the fun part.
And at the end of this video, I wanted to share a poetry that I wrote some time ago. In original, it's in German, but I try to translate it for you as good as I can. Who am I when everything around me goes quiet? When I stop reacting, stop functioning, stop pleasing? When no gaze shapes me, no judgment moves me, and nothing outside tells me who I have to be? What remains then? When I no longer portray something, no longer hold on, and no longer have to do something? Do I still exist? Or do I finally exist? Maybe it is exactly the silence that reminds me who I truly am, who I always was, beneath all the layers.